school wasn't one of my fortes, but it is good to be here. So don't get scared away with all this. Some of you guys I've already seen, oh no, I might get called to the principal's office. I might get in trouble, back at school. But I love the theme because one basic thing about Premier Designs, when school starts, that means Premier's ready to start. The fall selling season is the highest season you will experience of the year. And I've got to ask with this crowd, because I've met so many of you, but just a few, how many of you are in your very first year as a jeweler? You're just in your very first year. In fact, stand up. Stand up if you're in your first year. Stay standing for a moment, because I want to add to this group those that are in their second year. Stay standing, and if you're in your second year, stand up. Which means you've had one renewal, so stand up. And then I want those in their third year to join them. If you're in your third year as a jeweler, you join them. Now you stay standing because all of those that are sitting, I want them to look around and note something. If you've been in Premier longer than 3 years, you are in the minority. The majority of our jewelers are in their first, second, or third year in Premier Designs. You are the backbone, you are the success, and you are the future of Premier Designs. But you're also entering into Premier during our great transition time. That's scary, but we'll talk about that. Because the 30 years of Premier Designs, we're getting ready to start our 30th year here in November this fall. But it's the next 30 years that the opportunities will never have been greater. So it's exciting to see all of you here. Thank you so much. And to see, when I was in the field, because as was mentioned, my wife 16 years ago, decided that she wanted me to stay home more. I traveled, so I was gone all the time. I'm doing that again now, but at the time I was traveling and she wanted me home. So the kids were young. And I was also involved in some other things on the weekends, so I was a busy guy. She was with the kids, but she wanted to be involved in something that would allow her to contribute to the family so that I could maybe give up some of those things I was doing and be home more. And so she was going to go into Pampered Chef. Because she thought, yeah, it's good stuff. It's about eating. I like Pampered Chef. I actually like eating better than I do jewelry, to be honest with you. But the reality is, she thought, I've got to do something that I enjoy. And she loved being a hostess. She loved to cook. So she just thought, well, I need to do something that I know. Because she wasn't a jewelry person. How many of you can relate? You're not a jewelry person. Isn't it interesting? Most of the hands go up. How many of you eat? See, you would think we all would have joined Pampered Chef, but we didn't. Because just like my wife, she had the mindset that I need to be involved in something, but it's got to be something that I know, that I'm comfortable with, that I'm familiar with. And then we went and met with a couple who shared with us the opportunity of Premier Designs. And I remember my wife saying, well, but I'm not a jewelry person, so I'm thinking about doing Pampered Chef. And the gal that she was talking to, her name was Becky Wallace, she's one of our senior leaders, she handed her a book. And she said, take this book and read it. Well, the title of that book was Not by Chance, but by Design, a book that our founder, Andy Horner, wrote. And so we took the book and we went home. And I remember I had to go to Australia for 2 weeks for a business. And I was gone 2 weeks, and I came home, and Bonnie was laying on one sofa reading this book. And I'm laying on the other sofa, probably watching football. And she started crying. Now, guys, you're right. My thought is, what are you reading? Why would you read something that would make you cry? I mean, come on, you're a glutton for punishment. So I said, well, what's wrong? Must be a sad book. And she said, no, I need to do this. Because when she read that book, she discovered that Premier Designs was unique and different than any other direct sales opportunity. Now, I'm not saying better in the sense that other direct selling companies and opportunities aren't good companies, that it's not that they don't have good products, and it's not that they don't have great opportunities that have met needs for many people. I'm not talking about Premier's better than. I'm saying that she realized Premier was unique from all those other companies, and she realized that for her, this is what she needed to do. Because it was more than jewelry. And it was more than making money. And it was even more than keeping Bob home more often to be with the family. Premier Designs was something she realized was different. Now, it took me a while to come on board, because my idea as a supportive husband was like, maybe some of you guys could relate, was whatever you want to do, dear, that's fine, but it's not going to work. That's fine, dear, go right ahead. I support you. But I'll be here to scoop up all the ashes when it falls apart. And when I focused at this, my mindset had direct sales as, like these pyramid things. Somebody makes money, but it's not the one doing all the work. I knew that it was probably a scam and it would come out eventually, but that's fine, dear, whatever you want to do. I love you, I'll support you. But I didn't think it was going to work. I didn't believe in it. But interesting, my wife realized there was something unique about Premier that I didn't understand. I just thought it was just another direct sales opportunity business that was just like everybody else that's out there. Well, the simple fact that I'm now Vice President of Marketing at Premier Designs, something must have changed along the way. Because there was a point that I realized that Premier Designs was different. In fact, it was my first rally. How many of you guys have been to a national rally in Fort Worth, Texas? You have? Yep, Texas this year. Yeah, you have. How many of you ladies have never been to a national rally in Fort Worth, Texas? Okay, boo hiss, yeah. No. How many of you are going to be at the next one? Very good. Get your hands up there. Because my first rally that I went to was where I realized Premier Designs was different. I thought it'd be like any other convention. In fact, our upline in Premier didn't give us a choice. They said to Bonnie, and Bob needs to go. He's required to go. They actually lied to me. They told me I was required to go. And so we thought I had to go. So I signed up, I'm going to go. I took my golf clubs. It was in Nashville, Tennessee at the time. Because what do you do at conventions? You check in, you play golf. You show up at a meeting, and then you go play golf. And then you go have something to eat, very good, you'll play golf. I mean, that's what you do at conventions. And I got to Nashville with golf clubs in tow. And one, I never played golf. I attended every meeting, and it changed my life. Because I realized this is different. This is different than any other direct sales opportunity. This is different than any business that I was familiar with. This thing was not only a great opportunity for my wife and my family, there was something about this that I appreciated when I saw what it really was all about. See, one thing I had said to my wife when she signed up, because, I'm a loving, encouraging husband. I let her do whatever she wants to do, and I'll just be there to tell you, I told you so later. I said, well, what I realized was you could sell jewelry and make 50%. I mean, right off the bat, I thought, well, this is simple. I've sat through other opportunities for other business opportunities, and it's complicated. You need to take calculus, and you need logarithmic formulas to figure out exactly how do you make money, and how does this work, well, what do you have to do, and, how much soap do you have to buy, and what, you try to figure it all out, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but okay, we'll give it a shot. But one thing I did here at that first little presentation was sell jewelry, make 50%. So I said to Bonnie, when she said she was going to do this, you can sell jewelry, but you're not going to do that sponsoring thing. That's where all the illegal activity comes into play, I'm sure. That's where all you do is sponsoring people, and it can't be right, it's immoral and all that stuff. So I said, and she respectfully followed my wishes. She didn't share Premier, she just sold jewelry. In fact, she made our complete investment back in the first 30 days. She paid in cash the credit card, because back then we didn't have Premier cards or reward cards or anything else. We got small business loans called Visa. And it was like $1 million to sign up. You think that boutique is expensive? I mean, it was like $1,900 to get started with the sample packages back then. It was expensive. We didn't have the money, or we wouldn't have been looking at Premier. We needed money. And so we just put it on the credit card. She paid that back when the bill came in 30 days. She was a jewelry show machine. And she was meeting needs for our family. And even by that rally, I had actually given up one contract that allowed me to do a little bit less training because of what she was earning by selling jewelry. But when I went to that first national rally, I heard something from Andy Horner about how Premier was unique. All the things Bonnie had read in that book, all the things that she had seen in the people that she was building relationships with, but I'm just on the outside, so I'm not getting yet. But when I was at that rally, I realized the most selfish thing that we were doing was not sharing Premier with other people. Because Premier had met needs for our family. Real needs for our family. Why wouldn't we tell other people about Premier? So I changed the rules. I said, hon, here's what we're going to do. Anybody who asks, you can share Premier with. We're not going to gather people together in little opportunity presentations. We're not going to do any of that stuff. We don't want to cross the lines of pyramid schemes. But if someone asked, well, the very first person that she signed up Premier was my secretary. Because obviously I wasn't paying her enough, and so she had a need. But what changed for us, for me, when I came along to realize Premier is different and unique, but what's the beauty of that uniqueness and difference is it truly can meet needs for you, and you can share with other people how Premier can meet needs for them. It's not sales. Now, some of you are in sales, and I'm kind of in sales because I'm in marketing, but really you're all in sales and you do sell jewelry. But this is different in the sense it's not truly a sales business. It's a need-meeting business. You're in the business of meeting people's needs, starting with yourself. Now, that's the first thing that's unique about Premier Designs that I discovered, and I came to hear from Andy over and over. If you read his book, you'll read it over and over. You talk to him anytime, you'll hear the same thing again. Last week, he's not in the office a lot. He's 91 years old, and he's getting up there. He came by my office, and he was chatting. He usually talks about home interior days. He talks way back here, but the one thing he always talks about is serving people and meeting needs. Meeting needs. He doesn't talk about how much money Premier's made. He didn't talk about any of that. He talks about people still, even today. And that's what I learned from him at the beginning. The first point of uniqueness is Premier meets people's needs. Why'd you get into Premier? You had a need, right? Now, some of you were bored and had nothing to do. You had no life. But the majority of you had a need. You wouldn't be here. I would not have been at that first little presentation with my wife if we didn't have a need. There was a need that could only be met with a financial reward. I mean, if you just need relationships, join a bowling league. But the idea is we needed relationships and we needed money so we could pay bills, so that our schedules could change, that we could be more in control of our future. We had needs, and we had to earn an income to meet those needs. And you know what? We weren't alone. And every one of you, in fact, we go to the very first person here in northern New York to ever become a jeweler. Where are you? Well, you weren't in, where'd your sponsor go? Where'd Aaron go? Okay. Yeah, you were the first one probably in this group, but you didn't start here, you started down in Memphis. So, Laura, you're the first New Yorker, right? There's been people before you, but back when I was starting Premier, New York was like a vast wasteland. There were no jewelers in Premier in New York. Nobody heard. And I remember times that I've thought in the past, that's the next place, that's the next Philadelphia. That's the way I've always termed it. That's the next Philadelphia, upstate New York. I've been saying that to people for years. And I tell you what, I come here tonight and I look at this group representing upstate New York, just a portion of it. It is amazing to see what's happening. But it all started when individuals realized their need could be met through Premier, and they opened their mouth and told somebody else how Premier could meet a need for them too. And then from one person to another person to another person, you come to this group that you have right now. And you guys you haven't even started. You have scratched the surface of the opportunity of Premier Designs. So its first uniqueness is it is a need-meeting business. Now, the amazing thing is your financial needs will be met, but your whole life will be changed. Relationships. How many of you have met people and have become very good friends in Premier that you would not have met without Premier? How many of you would say you value those relationships even more than the money you've made? Yeah, all but 2 hands went up there. All but 2 hands. Okay. And you're going to find that's reality. Yes, your financial need's going to be met. But it's something greater that you're going to discover, these relationships and people. We now have relationships all across this country. And anywhere I could go, there are people that I have a close relationship with because of Premier Designs. I regularly get pictures of Nancy's 2 little puppy dogs. Noodles and Casey. Don't tell Casey, I forgot her name. But Noodles and Casey. I get pictures of all my adopted grandkids who were your kids. And I love the video. I need a copy of that because I'm going to adopt them too. Even though you can tell whose kids they were. I adopt them anyway. Because the relationships have been formed through Premier. That is more valuable than any dollar that we could have made. So it's unique in the sense it's not about the money. It's ultimately about the relationships that are formed and about the changes that happen in life. It even goes back to the very beginning. We're getting ready to start our 30th year. And the amazing thing about that is most direct sales companies don't last more than 2 years. Now, we're not going to come up with a list because they didn't last. We've never heard of them. The ones we've heard of have lasted longer than those 30 years. We've heard of the Avons, we've heard of the Mary Kays, and we've heard of the Premier Designs. And, you know, the sad reality is things change. There are some that are going. Creative Memories just closed their doors here in September. They had through their second bankruptcy, they actually closed their doors. They changed it. They're gone. So there are businesses that we've heard of in the past that were great businesses that the opportunities are gone now. And in the future, that same thing will happen. Not every business is going to stick around. You know, there's no promise that the opportunity stands forever. But when you look at all of those direct sales opportunities on just the level of people making money, well, then there's a surface that can change. Because if you're not making money, if competition's too great, if it's about that product, then maybe the future isn't so bright. But when you realize that it's about something else, it's about something different. Well, the reason Premier's lasted these 30 years is because at the very beginning, it started not about jewelry and not about money. That was the start. Andy and Joan Horner did not start Premier because they had a truckload of jewelry and they were trying to find a creative way to move it. I mean, I have met entrepreneurs, that's how they get into business. I knew a guy who bought a truckload of burnt up mattresses and he opened up a burnt up mattress store. And then he bought a truckload of something else that crashed on a highway and started selling that. This guy became a millionaire buying burnt up stuff in trucks that crashed on highways and selling it in the warehouse. I mean, he had stuff, so he sold it. Stuff, so he sold it. But Premier wasn't like that. Andy and Joan Horner didn't start with jewelry. They started with needs and relationships. Andy was 62. He retired from Home Interiors and Gifts, another great company that's no longer. It's gone. Because after the Horners left, it was sold to people who were only interested in the bottom line of the dollars. In fact, they opened up the opportunity, like $29, you can become a distributor. They got like 100,000 distributors because it was so cheap to get in. But they made no money and they're now gone because they got away from relationships and needs. Premier was started because Andy learned from Mary Crowley at Home Interiors that the key is relationships and needs. So with Premier Designs, first relationship the Horners were interested in was missions. They had a daughter who was on the mission field. She was in South America at the time. And Andy, I think if he could have done anything he wanted in retirement, would have been to pack up and go to the mission field and be a missionary. Or pastor some little East Texas church somewhere. I mean, that's just Andy. You know, he's been in business all these years. He's retired now. He just wants to be out there and serving the Lord in ministry. But someone challenged him, with your experience and your gifts, you could do more for missions if you do something in the business side. But it was about supporting that mission that was on their heart, supporting their daughter, supporting their family. It was relationship and need. And then Andy tells the story about being at a meeting at his church where they had a big daycare. And he remembers sitting like 9 o'clock at night watching all these moms pick up their kids from this daycare, 9 o'clock at night. And Andy's heart broke for moms that put those kids in daycare because they had to work evenings to make a living. Andy was raised by a single mom. If you haven't heard this story, you'll hear it if you come to National Rally in Fort Worth this summer. You'll hear all about it, or if you read the book. If you haven't read it yet, read the book. He was raised by a single mom, the 13th child to the single mom. Then he remembers dad. His mom immigrated from Northern Ireland to Canada to rear him in a safe environment. And his heart goes out to single moms. His heart goes out to women that they could be with their kids and be more involved in their lives. And so there's a need and then relationship. Do we have any single moms in the house? Any single moms here? Yes. Andy and Joan didn't know you, but they started Premier for you. So there's those in ministry. There's moms. There's single moms particularly. And then there's moms that just for them to have the opportunity to be more involved with their kids. See, that's all needs. But then they needed a business because you can't help single moms just because you love them. And you can't support missions just because you have a heart for it. You know, prayer goes so far, but there's a point where you need a dollar to go along with the prayer. Or, you know, God, give me the dollar to go along with the prayer. And so they were looking for a business opportunity. And they looked at a lot of different things. But this idea of jewelry was introduced to them. And relationships, needs. Now a product's introduced. Jewelry. See, again, they didn't discover it somewhere. They didn't inherit it. They didn't have this great plan. They just realized that jewelry, high fashion jewelry, is the perfect means to the end of meeting needs and building relationships. High fashion jewelry, different than fine jewelry. I don't know, have you ever had anybody say, I'm going to wear the real stuff? There's two things you can do. You can take one of our really big necklaces, swing it around and hit them across the face and say, does that feel real to you? That's one. That's for the aggressive gals in the group. The more passive ones just say, I'm sorry it's fake. You know, don't go for that either. Be assertive. And just say, you know what? I would love to have a jewelry box full of the real stuff. But the reality is I can't afford the real stuff. So I get to look and the feel of that real stuff at a fraction of the price that I can change my wardrobe time and time again. In fact, I get it for free. High fashion jewelry. It's the perfect means to an end. See, fine jewelry is expensive, but it's also expensive to make. You know what, $1,000 an ounce for that gold and for, you know, those diamonds and those gemstones, you've got to pay a lot, so there's not a very big profit margin in fine jewelry. But high fashion jewelry, there's this profit margin. It costs this much to make that necklace. The market value is up here. People will pay $35. They'll pay $45. They'll pay $28, whatever it is. That is the market value of that piece of jewelry, even if it's not truly gold, even if it's a gold tone, or if it's brass, or if it's silver, whatever it is, that they will pay this amount for that look, that style. But it only costs this much to make it. Now, what do most businesses do with that profit margin? They keep it. They put it in their pocket. They get into high fashion jewelry and they sell through department stores all across America because they make a lot of money on that profit margin with high fashion jewelry. But the Horners had relationships and saw needs and said jewelry, high fashion jewelry, would be the perfect product to put that profit margin not in their own pocket but in your pocket. That's why you make how much? 50%. 50%, unheard of in direct sales. Which is one of the reasons I was skeptical. Well, there's got to be something fishy here if you're making 50%. I'm going to talk to you guys later about how it doesn't add up. Some of you have figured it out. 10%, 3 levels deep, 50%. All right, we're already over 100%. Something's wrong here. Some sort of scam. We'll get to that with the guys later. Ladies, you either don't care or you already figured it out. Guys care. We'll talk about that later. But what you understand is jewelry was selected because there's a profit margin that they could put in your hands and there would still be enough for the Horners to support ministries that were on their heart. Perfect means to an end. And aren't you glad they picked fine high fashion jewelry? I tell you what, I don't know if any of you have been in other direct sales companies, but if you got to drink it first before you can sell it, you got to gag it down. You may not like all the jewelry, but you can put it around your neck and put a smile on your face. But you had to drink it. Or if you had to lug it around, I think back in the home interior days, you needed like a little forklift to get the little house into their house, you know. You picture frames and candelabras and, you know, there's direct sales for artwork too. It's like, you know, it's just crazy. But jewelry, one, you just wear it. And it's easy to carry around. And people love it. People see it. The light hits it and it sparkles. And women want it. They don't need it, they want it. Any of you in insurance sales? Any of you in insurance sales? We need insurance. We don't want it. We need it. We don't really want it. I have never gotten excited about having a home party with my insurance salesman. Now, he's been over to my house and he's laid it all out there. Here's what I can do. And if I die, she makes $1 million. And she gets excited. And I'm like, what do I get out of this? Death. And then my car, okay. And, you know, we need it. So we have a relationship with the insurance salesman. But boy, it's not based on desire. It's based on the need. High fashion jewelry, though, it's not based on a need. It meets needs, but it's something that people want. And it's also the perfect product for a recession. Kind of like something we've been going through recently. I don't know if you heard. I think New York's been, you know, maybe been isolated from that reality. I read an article recently that said because of the current economy, households are choosing not to purchase the large ticket items. They're not buying furniture. They're not buying washers and dryers and stoves. But this article went on to say, instead, they're buying accessories. Jewelry, handbags, and shoes. Now, we don't sell shoes, and we don't sell handbags, but what do we sell? Jewelry. Perfect product. Women can't afford to redo their home, but they can afford to redo an outfit. They can't afford to redo their house, but they can afford to give themselves something that makes them just feel a little bit better. Something that's nice, a gift for themselves. So it's the perfect product, again, so that you make 50% and there's still enough for the Horners to meet needs and missions around the world. That's why it's been successful. Well, then you think about those needs being met. And then you think about the reality, well, you got to sell jewelry, though. And I want to come back to that. Because you're not really in the business of selling. I made that statement earlier, so I'm going to prove it to you now. The first way I prove it is I ask this question. How many of you, before you became a jeweler, went to a jewelry show? You were invited to a show and you were introduced at that show. Most of you. Most of you were introduced to Premier at a jewelry show. How many of you, when you got that first invitation to that jewelry show, didn't want to go? Okay, about 2/3 of the hands went up. The reality is, women are invited to these jewelry shows where they buy jewelry and you sell jewelry. No one wants to go to those jewelry shows. So why is this working so well? Well, first of all, we got to understand women aren't shopping for high fashion jewelry. They shop for their wedding band. They shop for an anniversary piece. And my wife shops for Pandora things, you know, $1 million charms to go on the Pandora thing. We were in London 2 weeks ago and she found a Pandora store and spent another $4 million on the little telephone booth to go on the charm bracelet. Don't tell her I said any of this because I bought her the stupid thing, you know, for an anniversary gift. Didn't know it's the gift that keeps on taking. She loves it. Anyway, I wish we could come up with a Pandora bracelet Premier. Cheapen it a bit for my wife. But anyway. Other than Pandora, the wedding band, and those things, women aren't shopping for high fashion jewelry. They don't get an invitation in the mail and say, oh, finally. Oh, finally, I've been praying about an opportunity to shop for Premier Designs jewelry. The only way you can buy it is go to jewelry shows, and I have not had my invitation. Finally, I got my invitation. I have shopped at Penny's, I've shopped at Kohl's. I went to a Leah Sophia show, to Stella Knox show, that I've just been praying, Lord, I want to shop. They're not thinking that. They get the invitation, they open it up, they roll their eyes. Oh. My cousin's having some jewelry party. Oh, she came to my baby shower. I guess I have to go to her stupid jewelry party. Why do they go? Relationships. They get an invitation from their cousin. They get an invitation from their neighbor. They get an invitation from their kid's teacher. They get an invitation from whoever it may be, one of their students' mothers. Whoever the invitation comes from, because there's a relationship, people go because of the relationship, not because it's jewelry. Then they show up. Don't want to be there, but they come. They're kind of looking for the cheapest thing in the catalog. You know, just send them to the little extenders in the back, you know. Pre-fill out the order forms, everyone buy an extender, do your duty, go home. But that doesn't happen. They come to a show that they don't want to be at because of relationships, and then they meet you. And you have a chance to give them something. You know the first thing you give away at jewelry shows is to your hostess. What do you give your hostess? What do you give her? You give her free jewelry. Free jewelry. Ladies, you don't sell jewelry. If anybody ever asks you what you do, don't say, well, I teach kindergarten and I sell jewelry. Don't say that. That sounds terrible. Sounds like you got 2 jobs. Instead, say, I teach kindergarten and I give jewelry away. You do what? I give jewelry away. You do? Well, how do I get some? I'll tell you how you get some. Invite your family and friends over. We'll set a date on my calendar. In fact, I happen to have my calendar right here. And we open it up. I got an available date in 2 weeks. And I'll come over because I'm the jewelry lady, and you'll get free jewelry. You're giving away free jewelry. I mentioned it at Rally. I'll say it again. If ExxonMobil started giving away free gasoline, it would totally change our perspective. They would not be the evil empire anymore. Because if you invite your neighbors over into your garage, and Andre the gas man comes over and talks about how you turn petroleum into gasoline and give away free gas cards, everyone would be there. And ExxonMobil would be an awesome place. If your favorite department store, whatever that may be, Black House, White House, Talbot's, whatever, I don't know what they have up here. What do you have up here? What? Macy's. They have parades. Macy's. If they were to say, come to our store, bring 3 or 4 of your friends with you, and we'll give you free dresses and shoes just for bringing your friends by to shop on Saturday, it would make national news. You do that every day. You give away free jewelry. When you're at the mall and someone says, oh, I love that necklace. Don't say, I sell it, because that'll scare them away. Who? She sells it. Say, oh, really? I give away for free. Would you like one? Love one. All you got to do, look at my calendar, set a date, I'll come over to the jewelry, bring your family and friends over, and you will get this free as a part of your hostess benefits just for allowing me the opportunity to come into your home. It'll be free to you. You're giving away free jewelry. Now, if you ever have somebody say to you, well, I can't have a show because I can't invite my friends over because they don't have any money. One, say, don't tell your friends that you think that of them. They may not want to be your friend anymore. Don't tell me that. But instead just say, well, then don't invite them to come buy jewelry. Invite them to come over for an evening of fun, and they're going to learn how they can get free jewelry. Just talk about the free jewelry and tell your hostess to talk about the free jewelry, because that's bottom line what it's all about, giving away free jewelry. Now again, those ladies who came out of a relationship because you're giving away something for free, they come to that show and then they meet you. What happens when they meet you will determine the success of your business. If you see them as dollar signs, if you are looking around to see if anybody's ordering anything, if you're concerned about how much money you're going to make that night, you'll have a whole different perspective. But if you look at that crowd of gals of saying, who can I help? Whose needs can I meet? What relationships can I build? Then it's going to go from there. First of all, there are some of them who could use some free jewelry. You know, most of the gals that say, no, I'm not going to buy anything tonight, it's because their husband said to them when they left for the party, you better not buy anything at that party. They're trying to be somewhat respectful to the command that they were given as they walked out the door. Don't tell them to leave their husband and buy jewelry anyway. But just say, you know what, that's fine. I was in the same place. There are a lot of other people in that same place. I'll tell you what, let's put a date on the calendar so you can get that jewelry for free. And then you call your customers after they get their jewelry and say, did you get your jewelry? Yes, I did. Was it just what you wanted? Exactly what I wanted. Did the ring fit? Yes, the ring fit perfect. Because remember, we got this golden guarantee. You don't have to worry about the product because of the guarantee. And then you say, there are some earrings that go great with that necklace you bought. I'd like to give it to you for free. Really? All we got to do is schedule a show of your own. See, if you talk in terms of giving away free product to women with whom you're building a relationship, this business works. And you can't get any more Premier 101 than that. When you talk about the simple fact, it's about being excited about the opportunity to meet needs and build relationships. But bottom line, you've got to do something. You have to open your mouth. Ladies, if you wear the jewelry and people say, oh, I love that necklace, and you just say, thanks, you're not going to build a business. If you have people say to you, I hate my job, and you go, oh, that's too bad, I'll pray for you, then you are not going to build a business. If you have people come into your show and you just simply go through a little Baroque presentation and say, thanks for coming tonight, I hope you order something, because I'm trying to put my son through college, and that's all you see them as an opportunity to sell, then you're not going to build a business. But if you build relationships, understanding you can meet needs from free jewelry to those relationships, and then for them to earn that 50% and change their life as well. So you got to open your ears. And when you hear women complaining, now we don't typically like complaining people. In fact, everyone in this room, you're one of two things. You're either aggressive or passive, and we all try to be assertive, but we're not. We're aggressive or passive. And when you have someone that complains, you want to react and complain back. So if they say, oh, well, I bought some of this jewelry and it broke. Oh, yeah? You want to see this jewelry break? I'll show you how this jewelry going to break. I'll break those earrings. I'll rip them out of your earlobes, you know. I'm talking about broken jewelry. Let's look at some broken earlobes. You want to fight. And then there's others that you just, I'm sorry. How many of you have had someone at one of your shows say, oh, I bought this jewelry and it broke? Yeah, somebody just want to cry and hide and call it to the table. You're so embarrassed. Doesn't matter. Again, whenever that happens, you say, really? I've had some break too. The wonderful thing is we'll replace it. Did you get it replaced? We'll take care of that for you. And you know what? This jewelry, it wasn't made by angels. It was made by people. And these people make a lot of it because a lot of people buy Premier Designs jewelry. And there's going to be a percentage that's going to break. I apologize for the frustration that caused. We're going to take care of it. In fact, let's get you some more jewelry for free. You just work through it, but open your mouth and explain it, be excited, and move on. Talk about how Premier's met needs for you. When you have people complain they hate their job, just say, we need to talk. My husband got laid off, we need to talk. My kid's going to college, we need to talk. My son broke his leg, we need to talk. I got medical bills, we need to talk. I'm in $3 million of credit card debt, we need to talk. You just say, we need to talk. And when you say we need to talk, they're going to wonder, why do we need to talk? But you opened your mouth and said, we need to talk. Well, then you talk. On the way out, you say, let's get together for coffee because I would like to show you how Premier Designs can meet that need for you. Well, I'm not interested in Premier. I didn't ask if you were interested in Premier. I just want to show you how Premier Designs can meet that need for you. You've got a son going to college, Premier can pay the tuition. Your husband lost his job, Premier can supplement your income. You've got medical bills, Premier can pay off that debt. You got credit card debt, Premier can get you out of debt. Let me just tell you how. Well, I'm not interested in selling jewelry. I didn't ask if you're interested in selling jewelry. I just wanted to share with you how Premier can meet your need. And once you see how Premier can meet your need, then you make the decision whether or not you want Premier to meet the need or not. But let me just share with you how. You've just got to open your mouth, be assertive, and say, I want to tell you something that's going to meet your need. You know, if on the Titanic, when the ship was going down, the people who knew their way to the lifeboats didn't say anything, that was morally wrong. And it was at that first rally when I realized the fact that I didn't tell people how Premier met needs for us, that was morally wrong. It was wrong and selfish to not share with somebody else how Premier could meet their needs. Well, they're going to think I'm trying to sell them something. No, not if I'm telling them how they can meet their needs. They're going to think I'm being pushy. No, not if I'm trying to save their life from debt or frustration. No, I'm the answer that they've been praying for. The Premier has allowed me to share. So Premier 101 has everything to do with opening your mouth and sharing about the needs it's met for you, introducing people to relationships. You know, even here today, you know, it's amazing. I already met 2 vets. I met like 400 people that work at Paychecks. This whole section over here. Used to and do. We got a variety there. And there's policemen, and there's security, and we got everything represented. We got teachers, we've got social workers, we've got everybody represented in this room. And you know, there's not a lot of common denominator then in the mix. It's kind of somewhat of a strange mix. Not strange people, but a strange mix. But there's something that's bringing you together. And that's this little jewelry company, Premier Designs. This is giving you a reason to have over 100 people in a room to build relationships and meet people. I met 2 gals over here. They're sisters in Premier. I actually met some sisters here too, but these are the in Premier. They met for the first time tonight, right? You introduced your 2 babies tonight. They just met each other. And now they're best friends. And they met their second cousin over here, who just got started in Premier. And then I met your real nieces. And we need Jerry Springer to figure this out. She said, my aunt is my grandma. No, my aunt is my mother, but we're sisters. A little freaky. But there's relationships. And even for a family, that they can do something together. And then you guys that are here tonight, how many husbands are here? You're a husband. All right, great, awesome, husbands. How many of you who just raised your hand, this is your first Premier meeting you've ever been to? Yeah, how many of you are freaked out that you had to come tonight? It'd be honest. All right, how many boyfriends we got? Good, that's a boyfriend. Some of you raise your hand, now that's either romantic or you're confused. Then we got a dad. How many dads we got in the house? Come on, Dad, raise your hand. We got 2. Well, a jeweler. Dad's a jeweler. You've raised your hand for everything. You're a husband, a boyfriend, and a dad. Good. Well, we got Dad over here, too. Here with his daughter. Just graduated from high school. She just got started in Premier Designs. And Dad's here to check this out, make sure she's not getting stuck in something crazy. But even for you guys that are here tonight, I realize some of what you've already seen is kind of weird. But I want to tell you one thing. This is not the weirdest place in the country. This group, Lori's group here, this is a subdued group of jewelers. Let me take you to Atlanta. Let me take you to Sacramento. Let me take you to some parts of the country. These women get excited about this little Premier Designs business of theirs. This is a subdued group, so guys, you're safe. But the neat thing, I think the neatest thing about this for your ladies that are here is the relationships they're forming as they meet the needs in their life. And you can be a big part of that. We're going to talk about that when we get together. Because when they start talking about fashion, we're out of here. Don't worry. And we're going to talk about how we can be involved in this business in a very legitimate way and not a weird way. There have been some guys that sell jewelry. I remember, we had for years a couple, the Richies down in Alabama. They both sold. He sold. He had been a pipe fitter and worked in the lumber industry, and he started doing jewelry shows. And they were the top retail. He did shows and she did shows. They sold jewelry. It can't be done. He quit. I asked him why he quit. Remember, he's in Alabama. He went back into pipe fitting. I said, why'd you quit? He goes, well, I was at a jewelry show, and I just thought to myself, this is weird. So next day I went back to pipe fitting. So, but for a couple of years, he sold jewelry to help meet the needs. So, but you don't have to sell jewelry, guys, but you can be involved in other ways, no matter who you are. So it's an amazing thing. It's changed my life. It's built relationships. It's met needs for us. It's done the same for so many that are here. And if you're new in Premier, and if those that raise their hand, I just want to say to you, first-year jewelers, you're going to come to your first renewal. And you know how we celebrate that in Premier? We celebrate every renewal by having you send us $350. It's a great way to celebrate. You're going to get that little notice. And it comes from me. I'm thinking about you. Oh, Bob, you remembered me. I saw him in Rochester. He wants $350. And you're going to talk to your husband. He's going to go, what? They want money from you? Don't you say, well, don't you make them money? And you'll have a whole argument. And then you're going to make this decision. Do I renew for another year? I want to tell you, if you're in your first year, you have to renew. You have to. You maybe have not met all your needs yet, and maybe you haven't built the relationships you hope to build. But in 1 year, it's not been long enough for that to really happen and see that unfold for you. You have to renew. You don't have to renew, but you have to renew. Now, you have a choice, but you better renew. Because it's not going to happen. Very rarely does it happen in that first year. So in your second year, those in your second year, you've had one renewal, you're going to come to your second renewal. You can't quit either. Sorry, Bob said, it's in order. Because your second year, you're getting down the whole idea of this business and relationships, but then there's this whole area of sponsoring and business building that just starts to really kick in during the second year. And you haven't completed your second year, you haven't done enough to really know. You got to get into your third year. I'm just telling you, if you want to know if this business is going to work for you, you've got to be in it at least 3 years. Ladies, don't go by your first year. Don't go by your second year. Give it 3 years. Now, ladies that are in your third year, you can quit. And you know what I've learned? You won't. Bob will tell you you can, but you won't. Because by your third year, your needs have been met, relationships have been built, you've brought others into this business, and you're going to say, why would I do anything else? But it doesn't necessarily come that way in your first and second year. So ladies, third year, make that your goal as you get started in this business. And I guarantee you that things by that third year are going to be exactly what you had foreseen and prayed about from the very beginning. Now the ladies that are training tonight on the different topics, they're going to tell you how to do that sponsoring, and how to get those shows, and how to generate that retail, how to meet those needs, and how to work on those relationships. And guys, later on we're going to talk about how you can be a part of this, not in a weird way, but in a very positive way to help meet those needs for your family. So I'm glad to be here, and I know we got a lot of exciting stuff tonight, so I appreciate you letting me share about Premier 101. So I think the bell needs to move on to the next class. Class dismissed.